Hey, YouTube, vinyl community, friends, viewers, and creative types. Grecian Thunder here. Um, so, I'm here to answer Dereck's first thread that he's posted ever um, with the mind-numbing question. Have you learned anything valuable from music, be it a song, album, the music itself? This may or may not be a long video, because I don't know, when I hear a question like that, it just brings up more questions in my head, which kind of is the antithesis of what Fred was talking about the other day with multiple question threads. But uh, I'm gonna only show one record, and I'll riff about some others, but it's actually a cassette tape. All right, the much like 24 dB, I watched his answer today. Um, the I don't remember my childhood really being filled, as far as my connection with music as much. Um, the first time I felt an impact with music and learned something was with this tape, and I still have it. I think I've talked about this before. This is Milli Vanilli, "Girl, You Know It's True." Um, I'm just gonna not look at that for a while. Um, the reason that one had an impact on me was when I found out that those guys were frauds. The life lesson that it taught me was essentially trust no one. And I've kind of lived up to that because because you have to earn my trust. Um, and not a lot of you guys have. I'm giving you my address. Things like that. I'd be perfectly willing to Skype with any of you, just talk. We don't even talk about records, man. We could talk about what we ate that day. I don't give a shit. But but that record, it shook my faith a little bit because I didn't really have a lot of faith in music. But learning that that was a fraud basically steered me away from pop, which this was, and into something deeper. After that record, a friend of mine, his older brother gave me a dub tape of another life-changing and life-learning record for me, and it was Eazy-E's first solo record, Easy Does It. I had never heard anything like that. I mean, I'd heard rap before, but it all had been mainstream, like, stuff. Run DMC, they're pioneers, but like I'd never heard anything like Easy before. And it changed. I mean, it's crude, you know, it's controversial. Everything in the mainstream doesn't seem to be that way, at least in the late '80s. From my perspective as a 12-year-old, 11 or 12 when I first heard that record. But after being hurt by Milli Vanilli, and then inspired by Eazy-E, I got into hip hop a little bit, or rap, however you want to call it, and then I didn't hold on to the rap thing too long because I'd always been attracted to the guitar, um, guitar-based bands and things like that. So I started doing, asking people like, what's good to listen to, blah blah blah. And a couple years later, when I was like 13 or 14 years old, I heard the Dead Kennedys for the first time, and I heard the Germs and Sex Pistols and um, Crass and the the Ramones had always been around, but I really listened to the Ramones, and I started really listening to music, and it just changed. It changed. Music changes you. and it doesn't stop, you know. Um, and Dereck may not like this analogy much, but like music, you know, a lot of people say it's their lifeblood. Um, to me, it's a religion. You know, it's something that I worship. And once I started actually playing music, I became a preacher. You know, uh, because I was writing it and I was creating. You know, I wasn't just listening anymore. And um, yeah, and in a sense, it's music. I mean, blasphemy. Sorry, but music is a god. You know, music transcends all. Music. You put people of three different religions in a room together. It sounds like a bad joke. Like a Muslim, a Christian, and a Jew walk into a bar. But you know, you put those people in a room together to talk about, you know, religion. You might end up with a fight on your hands. You put them in a room and put on, you know, like a Thin Lizzy record. You're gonna have a party. You know what I mean? Like it basically it's an equalizer. And Dereck has said this over and over again. We are all one. We are all one and the same. You know, kind of a Dr. Bronner philosophy, uh, in a sense, the all in one. But the yeah, I mean, it's just such a powerful force. The first time I heard Brainiac, you know, life changing for me. You know, and every time I hear him to this day, it you hear something new. The first time I heard Birthday Party, or more recently Grinder Man, you know, or the first time I heard Can, or the first time I heard Boris, or the first time I heard uh, Pooh, that record I bought a while back. I mean, a lot of these bands that I'm getting into are just obscure one release bands, and they're, you know, they 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 went to the same church. You know, they were creators of gods, essentially. Because I think music is just, I mean, it's like it's so old and in us, you know, as humans. And even animals, you know, animals react to music. Plants react to music. What can be said about a plant reacting to a cross, or a, you know, the Star of David, or a Quran? You know, that a plant's not going to react to that. A plant will react to music. You know, a plant is a living thing. A plant is a creation. You know, but yeah, I mean, this is a loaded question, Derek. Loaded. I'm trying to think of other albums that really changed me, but like yeah, when I heard the Germs MIA for the first time, it, and I love the Dead Kennedys, but the Germs had a beauty to them, for me when I first heard them, because they were accessible. It was like, I can do that, you know. You hear the Dead Kennedys music, those guys can play, you know, their instruments. Not that the Germs couldn't, but like the first few releases, first few songs on MIA, it's like, wow, you know. I'm surprised I didn't learn a Germ song before I learned "Smoke on the Water." You know what I mean? Like, because it was so easy, and yet so there was a depth to it, you know, and it just changed me. Um, and I mean, on a more somber note, I guess the reason you know, I've talked about this a little too, like jazz. Um, the reason I didn't get into it was because I had a stepfather who was very abusive to me, my sister, and my mother, and he was a big jazz fan. He played saxophone, you know, and I think, you know, it's a pretty easy psychological connection to see why I would not be a huge jazz fan. It's probably the same reason Derek's not a huge blues fan, is because that connection, that that some evil fucker like that could like this music. Well, it's not for me, Um, but I'm giving it a chance, and I've liked music that's jazz influenced, like funk music and soul and things like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just haven't given jazz a chance, especially traditional type of jazz. I mean, if I were to get into jazz, it would probably be more the avant-garde stuff. And I do love Supreme. I think that's a great record. But yeah, I'm starting to open my eyes a little bit on that, and there's another example right there. Like, music finds a way to open your mind and free you from these, you know, whatever conceptions you've formulated through your life, uh, can get blown to bits in 30 seconds by listening to a song. You know, I could probably talk for hours about this because it's such an important part of my life, and it's actually saddens me that I'm not playing as much as I used to, because that's when I felt most virile. You know what I mean? Like, uh, I felt like my life had pure truth and meaning to it. Not that it doesn't now, but for some reason, like, I just don't want to put the work in anymore that it takes to play in a band with people. um, and it is a lot of work, and but it's fun. It's worth it, man. I just need to do it, and I need to play for you guys. I'm not that good, but just for shits and giggles, I should probably set up my bass in front of this computer and see what kind of sounds I can get. So I guess that's it. I guess that's all I'm going to say on the matter as far as music, life, and the lessons it teaches. For now, I'm sure something will slip in other videos. But Dereck, that was a whopper, man, and I love you for it. Great thread. It's good to be back, guys. It's good to see you, and time to play more catch up. So, peace and fucking love, man, as Ben would say.